Hey, I'm live, and that's about the only good thing I can say about how I'm feeling this morning is I have the cold of all colds. By the way, my mug is blank because I just wasn't feeling it this morning. Good morning, Opa. I'm going to do my best to be the sunshine this morning, but I got to tell you, I got this headache, and I was up coughing, and yeah, I get this thing once a year, and I guess it's my turn. You're probably wondering where my kitchen went. Well, I'm near the kitchen, but I wanted you to get a little musical feel today. Let me move around here. Yeah, this is the music room. It's not me. I am not a musically talented human being. I sing in the shower, I sing in the tub. Oh, and I sing for anybody who'll listen, but I'm just not that good at it. I play no musical instruments, although I did take piano lessons for a while as an adult. And it was really kind of cute because my mother always wanted me to play piano, and I had a piano after I was married, and I took lessons, and I would take the telephone because back then, you had a telephone. I would take the telephone and set the receiver on the top of the piano, and I would play my practicing for my mother while she would listen and she was cleaning. She loved it. I Fleur de Lune or Claire de Lune or Fleur de Lis or whatever it was. That was about the only thing I could play. I wasn't that good. Mm, thanks. I hope I'm feeling better too. I feel ucky. So here's what I decided. I, no talk about birthdays and things like that, although I have to tell you it is National Pet Day. So I do want to pay just a teeny bit of homage. Not all pets, pet birds. I don't know how many of you have ever had pet birds. They kind of tend to be a little messy. But aside from the messy part, I had parakeets when I was little. My brother and I each had a parakeet. One was blue and one was green, and they were named Harry and Perry. I couldn't tell you why, but they were really fun. And we used to let them out of the cage, even though we weren't supposed to, because then we'd chase them around the room until the day that my brother tried to catch them to put them back in the cage, and he went after them with a wall from my dollhouse, and then we didn't have Harry and Perry anymore. It was a very sad day in my house. And, they're way too small to eat. Let me see. My children all play an instrument. That is so cool. Do you do like a family band? I mean, really, I've always thought that would be neat. So my guy, he plays every instrument. It just drives me. He serenades me. No kidding. He sings for me, plays guitar, but he plays all the other instruments that are here too. And it's so awesome. And there's lots of microphones. It's like a real recording studio. So I get to sing in the microphones. Oh, look, even just talking about that made me happy. Anyway, Harry and Perry were my birds. It's National Pet Bird Day or something like that. So if you have a pet bird, feed it. I do have one more thing I want to share with you before I tell you my story. The word for today is from the Chinese, and it's qi ku. Qi ku. Qi ku is to eat bitterness. Now, I don't want you to eat bitterness like for a meal or anything like that. Qi ku is to eat bitterness. It is the ability to endure bitterness and misery without becoming bitter and miserable. So I hope you're all practicing Qi ku, because Qi ku will definitely keep you from being miserable. Let me see what the comments are here before I start my story. Oh, drum lessons. Drum lessons. I got my grandson miniature but real drums when he was a little kid. He got really good at them. Then he graduated to bigger drums. He doesn't seem to like them anymore. He's trying guitar now. But both of my daughter and my son-in-law are both used to make their livings as musicians. And now they do it as an avocation. So when they all come out here and everybody grabs an instrument or a microphone, I love it. It's like the best. No family band, she says. No family band. Both boys are drummers. One plays guitar. Wow. Pam, good morning to you too, and Opa and Marlene. And it's so good to have you guys here with me. Okay, as promised, here's my favorite celebrity story of all time. All time. So I used to have this partner in the balloon business. And she had a friend whose husband played in Benny Goodman's band. Now, I know people who played in Benny Goodman's band back in the day, so I'd already heard a lot of really cool Benny Goodman stories, but these people didn't play with him in what was then the present. We're going back about, we're going back almost 40 years ago, I guess. Yeah, this is an old story. I didn't realize it was that long ago, but my kids were like in kindergarten, first grade, something like that. Anyway, my girlfriend got sick and needed somebody to help her take care of her house and her kids. I was a single mom at the time with two little munchkins, and she had a great big house and said, "Would you mind moving in and helping me?" So I said, no, I wouldn't mind. So the kids and I moved into her house to help her. And this is the woman who had the friend who played in Benny Goodman's band. Well, Benny Goodman and his band were coming to the local college, junior college, to put on a show. And of course we were going to go because I was a huge Benny Goodman fan. And I was hoping that maybe since she had a friend who played in the band, that we'd get to meet Benny Goodman. Well, just about the same time, this friend and I had started our balloon business, our balloon decorating and delivery business. And we decided that it would be really fun to deliver balloons backstage to Benny Goodman before the show started. And then we got this great idea that we'd throw a party and we would invite the entire band, and that Benny Goodman would come to our house and party with us, right? This is where we come to making unreasonable requests, my friends. Unreasonable requests sometimes give you the best stories to tell ever. So here's what we did. I made up an invitation to a party. She called her friend, Dick Nash, and actually told him that we were going to have a party and he was invited because she knew he would come and bring a couple of his friends. So she invited him. I made one very fancy invitation. Then I blew up 3 dozen white rubber balloons, latex balloons, big ones. And on each white balloon that I tied with a black ribbon, are you starting to get the musical thing going here? White ribbon, black balloon, white balloon, black ribbon. And on each balloon I wrote, "Nobody gives a better blowjob than Benny Goodman." Yeah, I really did that. Then I took them over to the college before the show started, and I had them delivered to Benny Goodman's dressing room. Dozens of white balloons in black with musical notes that said, "No one gives a better blowjob than Benny Goodman," and an invitation to the party. The show was phenomenal. It was everything I wanted it to be. That guy could play that clarinet like, it was like magic listening to him. And then when the show was over, we went back to the house to wait. I'm telling you, we hardly waited at all. Because in a matter of moments, the doorbell rang. We opened the door. We didn't close it again for the next 20 minutes. The entire band showed up at our house. The entire band. Thank goodness I had the foresight to invite my parents, who never would have forgiven me if Benny Goodman and his band had shown up and they weren't invited. So there were a few, like regular people who were invited as well. The entire orchestra, right? Band. And then in walks Benny Goodman himself, looking like he was 150 years old even back then. I fell in love with Benny Goodman that night. But here's the cool part. He kind of got a crush on me too. It was so cool. Now, I'd say he was about 150 years old at the time, but I'm guessing probably he was not a whole lot older than I am now. I don't know. He looked like a grandpa, but he acted like a grandma. He acted like a little old lady. He was so cute. So, people came over and said hello to him, and we were chatting. And the next thing I know, Benny Goodman and I are sitting by ourselves in a separate room at a table, and he's telling me stories, and he's listening to my stories, and we're chatting like we are old friends. I heard stories about different shows and different famous people he'd worked with. He heard stories about my kids and my divorce and my parents. We were just having like the best time chatting. And then suddenly he does this. Hey, I didn't realize how late it is. It's time for me to go. And I said, I totally understand. I am so sorry that I took all your time tonight. You didn't get to meet anybody. And he told me he didn't care and how happy he was to spend time with me. And he gave me a little hug, and I walked him to the door, and then I walked him over to his limousine. He got in, and the limousine driver was chatting with him and getting ready to drive down the cul-de-sac. I walked back in to the table we'd been sitting at, and there, sitting on the table, is his clarinet. The case must have been 1,000,000 years old. It was, how leather gets when it gets old? It gets like flaky and crinkly, and it has that old leather smell. Okay, so here's his case, peeling old case, and his clarinet inside, sitting on the table where we'd been talking. Now, I would be lying to you if I didn't say that for just an instant, I had a thought of, wow, I just scored Benny Goodman's clarinet. But it just lasted a second. How can you steal Benny Goodman's clarinet? That would be so wrong on so many levels. And besides, I couldn't play it anyway. So if you can picture this, I grab the clarinet, stick it under my arm like a football, run to the door, and now I am tearing down the cul-de-sac at like 10 o'clock at night in the dark after his limousine, screaming, Benny, Benny, Benny. And I am like going. How the limousine driver heard me, I will never know. But he stopped at the end of the cul-de-sac. I'm huffing and puffing and carrying that clarinet, and the window rolls down. And I say to Benny, look, I know you really like me. I can't blame you. I'm very likable. I like you too. But this is a gift I cannot accept. And he looks at me and he says, what are you talking about? And I hold up the clarinet. I kid you not, the man got tears in his eyes. You know how particularly older men, they don't like start bawling, but you can see immediately their eyes fill up with tears and they're all red around the edges. Oh, thank you, he says to me. And I hand him his clarinet, and I turn around and I walk away. Benny got his clarinet. but I got Benny Goodman, and it was awesome. So wherever you are now, Benny Goodman, playing music in heaven, I salute you. Okay, I feel better just having told you about Benny Goodman. Yeah, it was awesome and it was fun. Hey, listen, you guys have a especially wonderful day. I'm going to go try and maybe soak in a hot tub or something, see if I can like sweat this out of me a little bit. So tomorrow I will be full of, what is it? Piss and vinegar? That is disgusting. But tomorrow I will see you, probably not with a story as good as my Benny Goodman story, but hey, I might at least have a mug that isn't blank. See you tomorrow. Much love. Cheers.